The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to our Spotlight webinar for the BNI Foundation and Business Voices. This is Beth Meisner. I'm very excited to show you our very first screen here because this is our new Business Voices logo. I see you all applauding and nodding and smiling, so I want to thank Morgan Rothwell for donating his time to create this beautiful logo for us. I'm Beth Meisner, like I mentioned, with the BNI Foundation. My husband, Ivan Meisner, is the co-founder of the BNI Foundation and sadly will not be able to be on our webinar this morning, but I will do his part of the meeting as well. He told me that to imitate his voice. I don't think I'll be able to do that, but I do know his messaging and be happy to give you that. As it turns out, Derek Bowles, the founder and CEO of Stand Up America, our power partner, has not joined the call yet. So I will be doing his portion of the presentation as well. Certainly cannot imitate his booming big voice. He's a voice to be reckoned with, that's for sure. But I, again, am familiar with his messaging. And as we get to his section, I've noticed that Antonio has come on the line. Antonio, I'll probably give you the microphone for about 3 minutes to talk briefly about Stand Up America and what y'all are doing, the great things you're accomplishing. So as we go into our webinar this morning, I just want to share with you the vision that Ivan and I have for Business Voices. Ivan has been very impressed by a couple of people's comments about how business can get involved in the world in a way that makes a difference, a very positive, systemic change kind of difference. Our friend Stuart Emery is fond of saying that business can be noble, and Business Voices is a way for us within BNI, with our business members, to aspire to being noble, to be in business for more than just the profit, to be in business for more than just getting ahead and making a great living, but to also be in business to make living great for other people, and especially with the BNI Foundation focus on children and education for the kids of our world. My vision with the Business Voices is centered around our new 555 movement to inspire 5 countries to look after 5 schools and meet 5 of their needs. This is an adaptable goal. This is organic. It's going to be driven by the communities in which the movement will go. So, for example, within Austin, we had our Business Voices Team Austin meeting last night, and we were talking together with the area director and director consultant here, Scott and Christy, and our vision is to have 5 chapters get excited and engaged in Business Voices and look after 5 projects that meet 5 needs for kids. So as you see, the 555 movement is very adaptable and organic. So at this time now, we're going to go into what the Business Voices vision and the work with Stand Up America. And Mr. Antonio Wright, you are pictured here in this photograph with Derek Bowles. Would you take just a couple of minutes to briefly share with us the vision Stand Up America has and how it's integrated with Business Voices? I have turned on your microphone, Antonio, so I'm standing by to see if you'll be able to speak. If not, I'll speak on your behalf. All right, I'll leave your microphone open if you're able to come in. Just chime in. I'm very, very impressed with the Stand Up America vision with Business Voices. Derek and Antonio both have talked about how there are problems in our world with the children, with education, with the youth, with the dropout rates, high dropout rates in inner cities. And it's something that a lot of people just sit on the porch and complain and moan about, bemoan the fact that we have high crime rates in the inner city, high school dropout rates. We have problems as witnessed by the issues in Ferguson and other areas where we are seeing this come to a head. And their mantra, their rally cry to us is stand up, get up off the porch, stand up, get out there, and let's all work together to see what we can do to help make a positive difference in these areas. And I've been inspired and motivated by their messaging because it's not just me standing up over here in Austin where we aren't having the same kinds of problems, but we do have our own pretty serious problems, as we're going to hear about a little bit on our call. But what how can me standing up here in this area have a positive ripple impact on the areas that are the most troubled and that are the darkest? So Stand Up America is a great partner for the Business Voices movement, and we're grateful to have y'all working alongside of us. And so now I want to talk about the interaction we have had in BNI recently with Boys and Girls Club. And this is what has brought us to bring Boys and Girls Clubs of America to be our spotlight organization today on our webinar. We met Mark Keister through David Sheehan. He's a BNI member here in the Capital Connectors chapter in Austin, Texas. He invited us to meet with Mark Keister, pictured on the left, who is running the Boys and Girls Clubs of the greater Austin area. And they invited us to come in and do a tour of their East Club. So pictured here are Ivan and myself with some kids from the club and some staff members. And over on the far right, we have our BNI director, Scott Carley, and a couple of BNI members who are pictured here. We had a fantastic tour. I'm going to share with you when we wrap up our comments what the result of this tour has been, because truly, I really encourage you, if you have a Boys and Girls Clubs organization in your BNI region, take your chapter members and go have a tour. Once the members especially, and yourself, see what's happening there, the motivation you will find and the excitement that you will find to jump in and get involved and to have a little bit to do with the successes they're having there will really be well worth your while. And now I want to introduce Mark Keister. Mark is the Chief Professional Officer of Boys and Girls Clubs of the Austin area. Mark, thank you so much for taking your time to be with all of us this morning and share a little bit more about the mission and the work and the things you're accomplishing in Boys and Girls Clubs.
Well, thank you. We're excited to be here today.
So we're going to start with a video clip to introduce this program.
Am I on?
You are on. Go right ahead.
Okay. Well, again, I want to thank everybody for inviting us to be on this today. We're kind of really proud of that video because a lot of those scenes were taken right here in Austin. A lot of our staff and our kids, especially you might have seen the ones with the kind of older building and the kids standing on the stairs. Those are all some of our kids here in Austin. To put the Boys and Girls Club of America in kind of a national framework for you, it's the largest organization in America, and most likely the world too, that's solely devoted to youth development services for kids who live primarily in poverty. We call them economically disadvantaged kids. We've been around a long time. We were founded in 1860 as the Dashaway Club, and as would be the case, it was founded by a group of women with the premise was that's during the industrial age was that there was all these kids out of school in the afternoon, from 3 to dusk that had nothing to do, and consequently were very vulnerable to getting in trouble or causing trouble, a very vulnerable time of the day for them. So that was the beginning as the Dashaway Club. Then in the early 1900s, I think it was 1906 exactly, 56 of these similar organizations came together and federated the Boys Club of America. And we remained the Boys Club of America until 1991 when we bought the Girls Club name and merged the two organizations. So for all practical purposes, we've had girls in the clubs for many decades. It was just a name change. Right here today in the United States, big cities, little cities, Indian reservations, and every single military institution in our country, 4 million plus kids ages 6 to 18 will go to their club this afternoon when school is out. There are 4,100 locally governed clubs that are affiliated with the Boys and Girls Club of America. For example, the Austin Club is really, like all the other clubs, a local, not-for-profit, governed by a local board of directors who hire the CPO, the Chief Professional Officer, who hires the staff and administers the work. Why don't we go to the next slide? So what do? The whole premise of the Boys and Girls Club is that kids ages 6 to 18 are highly vulnerable to lots of temptations and other things that they shouldn't be involved in because of the neighborhoods they live in. These kids, for the most part, live in poverty. We serve kids primarily of color here in Austin. We're mostly Hispanic and then Black. And they live, and I can relate obviously to Austin better, but a lot of inner city kids, a lot of kids that live in high crime areas, et cetera, et cetera. But the basic premise is that after school they need a safe, positive, fun place to go. But to get the type of impact we want, our programming has to be very intentional, because at the end of the day, club kids compared to their peer group have better school attendance, greater grade advancement, and less disciplinary referrals than non-club members. For example, here in Austin, 78% of all our club members are on track. I'm sorry, that's a national statistic. 78% are on track to graduate. Here in Austin, over the last 2 consecutive years, 100% of our club members who were seniors in high school have graduated from high school, have graduated, and we're real proud of that statistic because our kids, our club kids, across the board, and it's 2,000 of them a day, by the way, are doing better academically and judgment-wise than kids that are not members of the club. Let's go to the next slide. So the question is, how do you do it? Well, first of all, who do we serve? We serve kids who need us most. These are kids who come from economically disadvantaged neighborhoods. Like I said earlier, they're mostly kids of color. They typically live in lower socioeconomic areas. They typically go to Title I schools, which are schools that provide free or reduced lunch fees. So those are the kids that need us most, because to put it in context for you, when my kids were growing up, I could send them computer camp. I could pay to send them to Y for basketball camp. These kids, they're guardians, and we say guardians because a lot of them are not being raised by a parent, or they may be an aunt or an uncle or grandparent or brother or sister. They don't have the means to get their kids involved in fee-based activities, because all boys and girls clubs activities are free to these kids. So the first thing we have to do is attract them to the club. Now, once we get them in the club, our programming is very intentional, but you might remember I said we need a positive, safe, positive, fun place to be. Well, fun is the key element, because the kids will come to the club, they vote with their feet because it's a fun place to be. And while they're there, we can get them involved in what we call high-yield activities. There are 3 priority outcomes for us. Academic success. For example, at our clubs every day, our younger kids, the first thing they do is a program called Power Hour. Well, that's where we help them do their homework. Then in that area, we also have remedial programs that we bring in small group tutoring for kids that are not up to grade level. We also have robust technology-based learning programs. But the whole idea is we want these kids to be academically successful so they'll graduate on time with their class. The second area is good character and citizenship. Our kids want to be involved in service to the club and their community. In this area, we have a range of programs that are small group mentoring programs that primarily help kids develop resistance skills to alcohol, tobacco, teenage sex, drugs, et cetera, because the deal is, the whole thing is, if you can't be a successful academically unless you can make good decisions about your life. And the last area is what we call healthy lifestyles, and that is I'm getting some noise here from my own computer. That is basically physical activity. We strive to have our kids get 45 minutes of physical activity a day. We know that an unhealthy kid can't learn and can't make good decisions about themselves. Also in this area, we feed these kids typically a snack and 1 meal a day, and for a lot of them, it's the only meal. It's the last meal they'll have that day. Next slide, please. This is one of my favorite pictures because I think this characterizes best what a club is like. The man in the middle is Ernesto Rea. He is the club director of our Woolridge Elementary School Club, and behind him are his kids. He and his staff supervise 175 elementary school kids in one of the toughest neighborhoods in Austin every day. And Ernesto knows every one of those kids by first name. Because to a large degree, what our clubs do, they become surrogate parents, aunts, and uncles to our kids. Next slide, please. Okay, so you want to know how you can get involved. You can go to our national website, bgca.org. There's a button, you say, find a club. And by the way, the website is very robust and will give you a lot more information than I can give you in this webinar today. But if you notice down in the left-hand corner, it says search. You just put in a zip code that you're interested in finding where a club is in your market and hit search, and it will pop up a list of clubs that are in that zip code. And I'm not real sure, but I know it does telephone number and address, and I think oftentimes it may have a contact person. Next slide. This is something, here's something you can do today, which we kind of slipped this in on you. But right now here in Austin, we are participating in the spreadfast.com campaign. and you can go to that, and it's one of those voting campaigns. You can go to that website and just vote. If you're a tweeter, you can vote for Boys and Girls Club in Austin, and if we win the contest, we get a nice check from Spreadfast. But here's the real clincher on it. I was not a tweeter till this came up, and I didn't know tweeting was so easy. So there's a way you can help today, anywhere in America if you'd like to, but it would help the Boys and Girls Clubs right here in Austin. Next slide. And that really concludes my presentation. I know Beth has some things she wants to say. And is that the last slide, Beth?
We got this next one here.
There's the national website.
Mm-hmm.
That's where you go to find out where your club is. But I'm prepared to answer questions. But Beth, didn't you have a couple of things you wanted to add?
Yes. I wanted to just share with everyone what happened when we did our field trip, because we had about 15, 16 BNI members that came along with us, and they went back into their chapters and started talking about the experience they had had, what they had seen, the robust scope of the activities, the music program, the tutoring, the computer time, the playtime, the sporting activities that the kids were able to get involved with, the meals, the fact that they got a snack when they got there from school, their after-school snack, and then they got, in many cases, fed supper before they returned to their homes, where in some of their homes they would not have gotten supper when they went home, or it would have been something very, very small that wouldn't be adequate. And the chapters rallied around the members who had gone, and we have been able to give wish lists to the chapters for items that the clubs need, things like your computers that you're not using anymore, that you've retired and maybe they're sitting in a closet somewhere. High school kids that have moved away, gone off to university, and their game systems are still sitting at home. The Wii, the Xbox, and those types of things. The clubs can use those tablets for the kids to actually have. I thought at the time, well, do we need to really give them computer games? And then I realized they are at club, safe and sound, having had an after-school snack and have some free time and playtime. Yeah, they need some computer games. So, and then also having people get involved in mentoring and volunteering and actually going to the clubs. How many clubs are in this area, Mark? You were sharing that with me earlier.
We have 24.
Can you imagine?
Serve 12,000 kids this year, and next year we're aiming to probably add a couple of more.
24 clubs, and we have more than that number of chapters in BNI. So the next step would be now to be inviting representatives from those clubs to come visit a BNI chapter, have an opportunity to do a presentation, a 60-second, 45-second presentation during the meeting as a visitor, to really let the chapter members know more intimately what it is that Boys and Girls Clubs are doing and what the positive impact in the community is. And Mark, I was very, very impressed with your graduation statistics and the numbers of the kids, the percentages of the kids that are earning their high school diploma because they're not getting distracted, they're not getting pulled away by gangs and by other activities that pull them off track and off course. So I'm very impressed, A, with what Boys and Girls Clubs are accomplishing, and B, with how easy it is to show this to members and to get members really excited and involved in supporting you. So I'm very grateful that you're there. Our communities need you, and in return, you need us. So that's kind of the purpose of the webinar. We do want to open up for some questions. If you have questions, please type them in the question box. Not every one of you has access to a microphone, but if you have a question and you know you'll be able to speak on mic, you can let me know that as well, and we can open your mic so you can actually speak verbally to the group. Scott is telling me he can hear. Would you have a question, Scott? Would you like me to open your mic so you could maybe share some comments and feedback from the tour that we did, perhaps? I'll go ahead and unmute you since no one else is. There you are, Scott. Would you like to talk with us?
Yeah, thank you very much. Can you hear me now?
Absolutely.
Good. Well, the tour was excellent, and it did a lot of things. Number one, we had several members from BNI chapters who came, so it turned into something that all of us, several people could see. It wasn't just one or two people, but it was several people. So that was really good.
Excellent. Yeah, I agree. And the ripples from that tour are still going out into the BNI pond here locally in Austin, that's for sure. I'm going to go ahead and
I,
mute you again, Scott.
yeah, I think that the thing about the tour that's so powerful is that you can sit here and I mean, I think that video is great. That kind of sets the stage for what we do across the nation. But there's no substitute for meeting the kids and the staff because, and Beth described it better than I did. All the organized, intentional activity that's going on in clubs across America is what gets those impactful results, because what this boils down to is we're a lifesaver and a life changer on a very large scale. My board chair, he has a kind of a mantra. He says he's been involved in some organizations as a policymaking board member that serves a small number of people in a very impactful way. He's been involved in those that serve a wide range of people, but not real deep impact. And we're the only organization he's been involved with that serves large numbers of people, kids, with deep impact. So, and yeah, we're real proud of what we do. I mean, we talk about Austin's results, but our results are no different than they are in Houston or Brenham or Boston or Fargo or any other, or Orlando, wherever else you are, because we're all on the same page and we all have the same passion. And for the most part, our programs are fairly consistent across the country in terms of national scale.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and one of the pieces of this, Mark, and then Scott has a follow-up comment, so I'll open his microphone. One of the pieces is our power partner, Stand Up America, has been saying all along that the kids, one of the things they need the most is a caring, loving adult that can be kind of a surrogate family member for them. And the picture of the
Absolutely.
young man that you showed, you could just see in the faces of the kids, yes, they're excited to have a selfie taken with him, but you can see that they're crazy about him. And he
They
may
are.
be the only adult male in their life that they feel really cared by and loved by. And that has a more profound impact than any of us can know. Scott, you had another follow-up comment. You're available. You're live now.
Yeah, okay, thank you. So there were several things that really impressed me about the whole Boys and Girls Club, and then the possibilities with Business Voices connecting with that. One of the things was that there were several Boys and Clubs chapters around town, and when we started hearing about the names of those clubs and where they were located, it was like, wow, I didn't even know this was here. This is right under our nose, and here's all these clubs, have all these cool names, and we were not even aware they were there. And so the awareness that it brought was outstanding. And the second thing is, because we have BNI chapters scattered all over town, it gave chapters a chance to pour their resources into a Boys and Girls Club that was in their neighborhood, or choose one instead of be a blanket offering. But now they could say, well, this club needs computers. This club had some damage, and so our trades team can go in and help it, or our IT team can go in and work with them, or our health and wellness can go in and do something with a group. That was really great. But then the other thing, hats off to Boys and Girls Club. One of the things that I noticed also was that the boys and girls weren't just shoved into a corner and thrown a basketball and said, hey, make yourself busy. But these were activities that there was an adult, there was a mentor around, and they were participating. So if something started to get out of hand or something go the wrong direction, there's a mentor there. There's somebody who can say, hey guys, let's not go that direction. That's not what this is all about. We're here to have fun, blah, blah, blah. So it just gave a great awareness, and I think that the BNI organization and our chapters, it's easier for them to respond when they see something going on that is having such a direct impact. Your statistics were fantastic, and when I took them back and talked to the chapter, they just their jaws dropped and they went, seriously, that's something that we want to be a part of. So I was very impressed with the whole 9 yards.
Yes, agreed. I was too. And Scott, to your credit, I was very impressed with the reception from your members. That says a lot. So thank you.
And we had a good time playing with the kids.
That's right.
Yes, we did. And later I started thinking, I used to give piano lessons. Wouldn't it be fun every couple of weeks to go down there and spend 15 minutes per kid that wanted to sit down and kind of play some piano and do a little tutoring with the piano? I can do that. I would love doing
a piano,
that.
Beth.
I've got one in my closet, Mark. I'm going to bring it over there and drop it off. I've got a keyboard that I brought all the way from California.
Okay.
Ivan said, why in the world did you bring that keyboard? You don't play it anymore. You haven't had it out, turned it on. I will bring it to you, I promise.
Great. We'll take it directly to the East Club.
I've got it, and I'm happy to, as I am able, come over and kind of play piano with some of the kids. I can teach them some real simple little things that they can then step away and have something that they can play right away.
Good.
Yeah, definitely. I'm excited. I have an iMac to donate to you. Our computer guy in one of our chapters was helping me try to troubleshoot some issues with my iMac, and he said to me, Beth, how old is this iMac? And I said, well, we got this for our son when he was a sophomore in high school, and he's now 21. He says, you need to upgrade your iMac. You need to go down and get the new one.
The kids are probably more advanced than the iMac.
Yeah, well, and I hope it's got what it needs to run just, programs that you can use it for. I'm sure it will,
yeah,
but I've got that to bring down.
We're pretty robust in that area, so we'll figure it out.
Yeah.
Beth, I have to run to another call.
Yes, well, our webinar yep, our webinar really is concluding now. I want to let everyone that's on the call know that we do have another spotlight call on January 9th. We will be announcing on all our social media outlets what the spotlight organization will be. January 9th, please let your chapter members know about it. If you've enjoyed this spotlight webinar, please take this information to your chapter, and during the announcements portion of your meeting next week, let them know to put January 9th on their calendar. Also, the Friday during International Networking Week, February 6th, we'll have another spotlight webinar, same time, 10 a.m. Central Zone, coming from Austin, Texas. And there are our websites to get connected with us. And Mark, just another big thank you for being on our webinar today, and to everyone who attended. We appreciate it, and we'll see you next month.
Thanks, Beth.
You're welcome. Thank you, and I can't wait to hear the stories of what happens now in other regions as a result of your sharing with us today about the great work Boys and Girls Clubs are doing.
We need all the help. Those kids need all the help they can get from as many people as they can get it from, so we just appreciate the opportunity.
That is true. All right. Well, God bless you for all your work. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.